That's a sad go-to.
It is.
The fact that their go-to is that they hurt one of our players one time is such a sad way to go.
God.
Alan Lazard. Yeah, you try to put him down low because maybe you won't see him.
John, any last words before we hop off here?
Go Pack, go, baby.
Go Pack, go. The one thing that's keeping me from taking the Packers to win by 30.
I don't care if you go to every game, what game. Not only that, but you are in the second row.
Yeah.
The second row, and you're going to try to tell me to sit down? Get lost.
Get freaking lost. Thank you all for tuning in, commenting. We love chatting with you guys. Enjoy the game. Check us out on Twitter at Rob Westerman3 for me, at JBeckman30 for John. Have a great rest of your day. Let's get a win and let's go freaking bear hunting. All right, we'll catch you guys later. Thank you. What is going on, everybody? I am Rob Westerman of GBP Daily. Joining me today to chat some Packers is the one and only Johnathan Beckman. John, it's been a few weeks now since we hopped on and since the Niners lost. That loss still sting a little bit or what?
I don't know. I mean, yes and no. Like I've since the Niners didn't end up going to the Super Bowl or winning it, like it's like I kind of use that as an excuse to kind of forget about it, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, obviously there's you see the Rams win and they keep saying, oh well, the Rams went all in and they won it, and then you see all the talk about Green Bay going all in and not winning it, or are they going to go all in again this year? And it's just like, normally I don't think that all in thing,
like narrative.
It doesn't seem narrative seems to pan out or work for most teams. It just doesn't. I mean, unless you're in the NBA, I guess.
No, I get it.
Now it's kind of all they've been talking about in the last 2 weeks.
It's annoying. I mean, they're like a drop. The 49ers dropped that pick. That's kind of like, they lucked out there. The bank, they get that holding call on 3rd and goal. Like, so many things fell into place for them that, doesn't normally – I mean, it always happens. They always need luck or whatnot to win. And yeah, it worked out for them. It just stinks because you have the 49ers at home. You would have had the Rams at home. You would have played the Bengals in the Super Bowl. Yeah, they were good, and they got kind of hot. Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow and whatnot. But it's like – it's not like we would have faced the Buccaneers, who were stacked. They weren't really stacked this year, but could have been stacked. And then you face like the Chiefs or like the Bills in the Super Bowl, and it's just painful.
I think it'll do them good regardless how good of a season Rashawn Gary had. But imagine they go into the Super Bowl and they get that many sacks against the Bengals. You'd be talking about big contracts because, I did it in the Super Bowl. Because that Bengals line was terrible.
No, I completely agree. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off right here. Speaking of sacks and whatnot, is Darius Smith more than likely not returning to the Packers after 2021 season? He missed most of it due to a back injury. I love Z. I love his energy, especially in 2019, 2020. But he was one of those guys who no-showed in the last 2 NFC Championship games against the Niners, the Buccaneers. He wiped his Instagram clean of Packers stuff, and after the season ended against the Niners, he posted what seemed to be like a farewell message. What's your thoughts on how he played this year, like how it played out, and him potentially leaving?
I mean, my biggest thoughts is thank God for Rashawn Gary.
Yeah.
And I guess it's kind of interesting to see that Preston Smith, had as good of a season as he did. After the bounce back.
I hope he's back.
Now the talk is like, is he coming back next year? So like you kind of tried to forget about Zadarius, but at the end of the day, there was always that like, oh, well, what if you had this, Pro Bowl caliber player, what would that have made a difference? But
like
you said, in the NFC Championship last year,
no showed.
But I mean, whatever. I know they always say like the best players, they'll show up in the biggest moments and make the biggest plays, but at this,
He played great against the Niners.
but at the same time, I mean, one game, if you play good that's the thing is like with players is like, you have one bad game and then all of a sudden they just want to kill you because you didn't have your best game in the biggest moments. Like, dude, these guys had outstanding games for 80% of their games, and then all of a
all
sudden
pro year, and then
it's just at that high of a level, you're going to have bad games. I mean, let's be honest. As good as Patrick Mahomes has been, his 2 Super Bowls have not been anywhere near his best games. They've been
terrible. Even the one he won, he threw 2 picks.
And it's like, do I think that he actually like is a choker? Absolutely not. The guy's ridiculous. But to say that one game here or there can define him. I mean, I think we need Zadarius in big moments, but now it seems like those big moments won't come again for him. So I mean, it's Rashawn Gary's show now.
Yes, sir. No, I'm with you. I love the Smith Bros energy, and like it was obviously a blast watching Z play and all the sack celebrations and whatnot. But it seems like the writings. What do you say?
His first play in the NFC Championship, getting that sack, it was just like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, and it seems like the writing's on the wall with him, though. I mean, it's unfortunate how it played out. He's on track to make like a ton of money this next year, and given like all these things, the cap space, the depth behind him, Rashawn and Preston. And then like his own situation with barely playing this last year, I think it's just time to move on. So best of luck to him in his career moving forward, in every game besides when he plays against us, which will be interesting to see. Do we trade him? Can we trade him? Do we just let him go wherever he'll choose where he wants to go?
I mean, I know we kind of always sit there. Oh, will these guys be back next year? Will we be back next year? But like you said, I think the writing's on the wall. Kind of seems like it's probably near impossible that he would be back. And with the emergence of Rashawn Gary, and
it's more comforting to let him go, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks because like those 3 with like Kenny Clark for a full season be disgusting.
Nasty. Yeah.
But I mean, at this point, I mean, it's one of the most important positions on the field, but it's just like at this point, it just seems like it's probably like a necessary casualty.
Yeah, I mean, we went all year without him. Played okay.
Yeah, I mean, we love him, but it's just
and I love playing. I love watching him play, but it's like, and they always talked about the Rashawn, and then the Smith Bros, like how they're going to implement Rashawn in there, and it's like, well, we never even got to that point because one, Z didn't ever play, and now he's probably going to be gone. So it sucks. Let's talk about the stock sale. For those of you who are not familiar, most of you probably are. No, it does not have any monetary value, cannot be traded. But damn, is it a cool piece of memorabilia to have. Not only can nobody else have it in professional sports, we're the only team that offers that. Obviously, we're fan-owned. There's benefits to being publicly owned. The team's not going to move. Stadium isn't going to be named after a corporation like U.S. Bank Stadium.
Yeah, FedEx.
Like Coors Field. I mean, all those stadiums that – Coors Field's actually kind of cool, or like the Brewers, like American Family Field, like that's terrible. As we talked about before, instead of the people around Green Bay getting taxed for things like stadium renovations and whatnot, they raise money through the stock sale. So far, they've raised $64,500,000. Isn't that crazy? Like about $65 million the fans have put forward to support their team. That's pretty sweet.
Do you know how much they? I'm sure you could Google it in 2 seconds. How much they made the first stock sale, or not like the first one, but the one in like was it probably around 2000? The one like 10 years ago
in 2011.
Yeah. Do you know?
Probably not this much.
Oh yeah, I mean I don't really know. I mean I know they said that they used it for different things, but I mean I'd be curious to see what exactly that money kind of
goes towards. I know one thing is like the video board stuff.
Yeah,
I know that's one.
I saw that. Yeah, they said I feel like we talked about that like mid-season. Is that somebody said that?
Yeah, I haven't heard much of what else it's going to be. Maybe I heard like parking lot something. I don't know, but it'll be interesting. So yeah, $65 million. I was a part of that. So Green Bay, you're welcome. Let's switch things over. Devonte Adams. This is kind of another one of these pillars. We know Z's gone. Devonte, He's the best receiver in the league. Everybody knows by now he's going to be a free agent next month. That's if the Packers let him even get to that point, which I don't know about you, John. I'd say there's absolutely no way that happens. What do you think Packers do with Devonte?
Well, I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and assume that it's going to go the franchise tag route based on all the reports and the people that have done more research than I have as far as like how it would break down.
Yeah.
There's just, but logic tells you one thing. There's absolutely a 0.001% chance he goes to the free agent market wide open. No chance.
Yeah, there's no way. And if he does, he's not coming back.
It's just like, yeah, you know, I can't imagine they'd be that stupid. Just let him walk.
Yeah. Under any situation or like scenario, like he's the best in the league. He's like, it would be one thing if he's OBJ and he's like super controversial, not OBJ, but like a diva wide receiver where like he's controversial. But like, what do you say?
Des Bryant.
Yes, and like everybody doesn't like him or does like him, but everybody in Green Bay loves him. And I feel like, you know, he's well respected.
The Cowboys had to choose at that time, like who to pay, right? Like it was like between Dez and Zeke and like Tony Romo or whatever the heck it was at that time.
They said
Dez. Well, now Green Bay is kind of in a little bit of the same position, just a little bit different players, but
not paying Z, not paying whoever, maybe paying
somebody can't get paid.
Yeah, and hopefully it's not Devontae and it's not Aaron Rodgers. They better both get paid. We'll see though. I think, you know, one of two things is going to happen. They either sign him to an extension. I'm not sure what the specifics look like, you know, but I know it'd be a ton and he's worth every penny. Or they tag him and then hopefully work on an extension through the offseason. I don't know exactly. I just don't see. Well, I hope they don't franchise tag him, keep him for a year, and then, you know, wait till it's more expensive and then sign him to an extension next year. I don't see that happening. So they're probably, I don't know, maybe Rodgers comes back for 1 year and they say, all right, I'll franchise you for 1 year.
I guess the way I would look at it too is like, I mean, I can see why Devonte would go out and say, hey, I'm worth the top dollar. Because he's still kind of been in that fighting position of like, where am I for top dollar? And like, you know, he still can go out and he has a massive contract coming ahead of him in the next 2 years. But like, I wish like a guy like Rodgers, and I know it's easy for me to say because it's not my money, but it's like you wish a guy like Rodgers, you hear the reports of, oh, $45 million a year shit. It's like, dude, why do you need $45 million a year? You talk about wanting to go on. I mean, there's so much more to it, but it's just like
Derek Carr wants like $40 million a year. So it's like you want to pay Rodgers 45 or Derek Carr 40? Like everybody's getting paid.
Just take a pay if you want to, you know, Devontae. But at the end of the day, you know, hey, I don't blame a guy in 10 years. You want that extra $20 million in your bank?
You know, I just feel like you sign him to an extension now, and then like in a couple years when the cap is supposed to blow up or whatever, like a bunch of receivers will pass him money wise, and we'll be looking back like thanking the good Lord above that we got him for what we did. So
that's what happened with. That's what happened with his last contract.
Yeah,
I don't know
what $14 million a year or something, and then next year after everybody's getting like 16, 17, and it's like he's better than all these guys. You know what I mean? So hopefully that's the same thing with Rodgers. You sign him to his shit. Carr signs for $40 million. Kirk Cousins is already around the $40 million mark. It's like, is he not worth $5 more million than these guys? Like, he's the best quarterback in the league.
Yeah,
you know,
he definitely is. It's just all these other guys keep raising the pricing of guys like this, and it's the penalty you pay.
Yeah, for having good players, and that's, I guess, a good problem to have if you know, depending on how you want to look at it. Let's talk about Mason Crosby. You think he returns next year?
Probably not. I mean, I was reading a lot of stuff. I mean, you know, the only way that I could see them coming back is like the comfortable feeling. Oh, this guy can be really good, but when it comes down to money wise, I mean, watch, we're gonna go draft a kicker and a punter.
Probably. I mean, I think if he doesn't decide to retire, I hope the Packers hang on to him. Probably in that that small percentage of people that want him to come back. Like, yeah, he had a rough year, but I can't put the blame like solely on him. The unit, like the field goal unit as a whole, was just an absolute mess. The snaps, the holds, the protection up front was inconsistent all year long. Like towards the end of the year, he looked like he was hitting those extra points and field goals like pretty crisply.
Yeah.
And if he indeed does get some good protection up front, I mean, I feel like he can. I feel like he's still got it. I at least hope to hang on to him until like through the offseason. Let him compete with J.J. Molson, in training camp. And if he can still boot it, which I think he can, then keep him. If he gets beat out in training camp, then more power to J.J. Molson or whoever else they might have, competing. But overall, I hope they hang on to him. I trust him to make big kicks. And if he does have protection up front, like a good snap, good hold, no one's coming in his face every damn time, I think he's more than just fine, at least for next season, to keep being the guy. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, I mean, to me, when kickers are as clutch as they've been, or if, like you say, like a McPherson, that guy for Bengals, like imagine they don't have him. Imagine they have a kicker that misses. I mean, he made what, 15 field goals or 14 in the 15?
If he would have missed one or two, they probably would be playing the Super Bowl.
They might have been in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's worth it. In the end, it's worth the extra $2 million.
Yeah.
For a guy to
win one game. It's worth that $1 million.
Yeah. But I could see it maybe being the end of that. Really,
I could also see it being the end too, which sucks. Next on tap, Leroy Butler, officially a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's about damn time, John. So big congrats to Leroy and his family. Had to represent. The Hall of Fame's kind of weird. I don't really necessarily understand it.
Oh my gosh, that's a whole different conversation in its own. Like the one thing that I always kind of wonder, and it's being kind of a homer, but I always kind of wondered, like, does anyone ever factor in the fact that he created the Lambeau Leap into putting him into the Hall of Fame? I know for a lot of if a Vikings fan heard that, they'd be like, shut up. But the Lambeau Leap is literally the iconic touchdown celebration of an iconic team. Everyone knows it. It's called the Lambeau Leap for, it's just one.
They do it after every touchdown. Like, is that give a couple extra points for that?
And we always talk about, with Rodgers getting MVP, you vote on what guys do on the field.
Yeah.
To get into the Hall of Fame a lot of times stuff. Well, I mean, that wasn't it wasn't a stat, but hell, if you get
changed the game a little bit for Green Bay at least.
I mean, he changed the game. I mean, just kind of a side note, but good thing he made it. There's always the comparisons of John Lynch and this.
Everybody knows who John Lynch is.
At the end of the day, he made the all-decade team.
Yeah.
And we're out here talking about Matthew Stafford and guys like that, Matt Ryan trying to get into the Hall of Fame.
Stafford's never been to a Pro Bowl, dude. Like,
I mean, just like a quick side note on that. I don't think there's my personal opinion, Packers fan aside, because I've always thought he was a really good quarterback. Like, I think Stafford is a good quarterback. I really do.
Oh, me too.
But when in the NFL, I'm sure you could go back through all the years, was he ever considered a top 5 quarterback in any season when you got Rodgers, Brady, Manning, Russell Wilson, Mahomes, Drew Brees?
Yeah.
You just, at the end of the day,
when he was good, like all those guys. Like,
at the end of the day, he was
Phillip Rivers, like Eli Manning, he's not as good. Peyton Manning, he's not as good as those guys.
But like, that's the thing too, is like, I don't necessarily – Phillip Rivers, like, I don't know. Eli Manning, I don't know. It's like all these guys, it's like they're right here, and it's like the Hall of Fame is like right here, like right above them. And so it's just like, who are they going to allow to creep in? But Leroy Butler, they weren't letting a guy that made the all-decade team.
Yeah, won a Super Bowl,
Super Bowl, All-Pro. I mean,
no.
Yeah, that was a little bit, couple years too long.
No, I get it. Moving on here, some Packers coaching news. I talked about a few of these last week, but let's get a refresher kind of where we're standing here. Rich Bisaccia, new Packers special teams coordinator, hired from the Raiders. Maybe he'll improve that unit. We shall see. Mike Smith, outside linebackers coach, leaving the team to seek other opportunities, which is interesting because That was announced shortly after Mike Pettin was made assistant coach for the Vikings. They're super close, apparently. Maybe we'll see Mike Smith coaching for the Vikings next year.
Yeah.
Maybe Darius follows him.
It's like, did he not get along with Joe Barry? Like, is there something?
I don't know, yeah.
Like,
behind the scenes, obviously nobody knew about.
Like, oh, hey, I know Darius is gone. I know Preston Smith's probably gone in a year or this year. Like,
right.
Okay, a lot of my guys are going to be gone, so I don't have as much ties to the, who knows? I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see if anything comes out, because I saw Rob Demovsky's tweet that it wasn't like a surprise for the Packers, so it might have been something that's been in the works.
Yeah.
But now, in reaction to that, Packers hired Jason Rebrovich, I don't know if that's how you pronounce his last name, to take his spot. So that will be something to monitor. Big one, John, that everybody's pumped for, coaching change. Tom Clements, who coached with the Packers from 2006 to 2016. He's back as a quarterback's coach. Many think that, one, he wouldn't come out of retirement at age 68 unless he knew he was coaching A-Rod. Two, also say that this is who Rodgers probably wanted. Packers went out and got him. Any initial thoughts when you saw this hire? And if you could just indulge a little bit on why you want Aaron Rodgers to come back, assuming you do, because he probably should.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have a guy like that back that was in a lot of successful years. I mean, it definitely bodes well for the crowd of, I think Rodgers is coming back. Because like you said, what are the chances a guy like that comes back for a Jordan Love type thing? And no offense to Jordan Love, but you get what I'm saying.
I get it.
Explain that. Yeah, I mean, it was probably somewhat part of their conversations that he stuck around because, I mean, at the end of the day that Rodgers and them sat down knowing that, okay, hey, we're going to have new offensive coordinators. There's a good chance we promote from within. So now this guy's going to be here, this guy's going to be here. Just curious, what would your opinion be? And we can see if we'll look further into that. And then he's probably like, I mean, I could be making this shit up, but it seems it seems like a realistic actual thing as opposed to a bullshit rumor. That seems like it's probably what happened because I can't imagine they would just go out and a guy that's been retired now for years, would just randomly come back.
Right.
But then again, coaching the quarterback position in Green Bay is like one of the most iconic position coaches you could have. I mean, it should be interesting. I mean, it's always kind of a weird thing that the levels of what guys go from head coach to offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach, or whatever. And sometimes they do terrible as a head coach, but really
great as an assistant.
But great as an assistant. And that's kind of like one of those things too. Is like don't look too far into like the Clemens years when he maybe had too much responsibility and maybe look into like, okay, his sole focus is on Rodgers.
Right.
As far as the Rodgers thing, obviously I hope he comes back.
Why wouldn't you?
I mean, worst case scenario is that I think worst case scenario is that he retires.
We don't get anything back for him and he's not here.
The other worst case scenario would be him beating us in the playoffs down the road. Right. But, because at the end of the day, hopefully they can either get a boatload of trade for him or he just comes back. I assume more this year than last year at the training camp time that he probably is coming back based on the stuff we've seen. So I just cannot realistically see him playing somewhere else. But I said the same thing for Brett Favre. So
no, I'm with you. Like, it's hard to picture that, It's sad to even try and picture that. So I'm not even going to go there. With the Clemens news, I definitely got excited. I was never one of those guys who wanted the Rodgers trade thing to happen or wanted him to retire. I never fully understood where people were coming from. Like, when talking about trading Rodgers, like, we could get 2 firsts, maybe like a couple day 2 picks, and maybe a player. But come on, man. He's the back-to-back MVP.
Yeah.
If he can still play, I'm taking him on my damn team every year until he says he's done. Let's be real. Everyone acts like a few first-round picks is like striking gold or like automatically going to get great players when we especially know it's not. Like, the trade him now because we'll get maximum value for him, or like his new contract is going to cost way too much. I heard his team crowd. That's just not a crowd that like I'm even close to being a part of. Like, let's just put that out there. Here's a few names, John, that we've drafted in the first round since Rodgers got to Green Bay. You ready for this?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not.
You are
hearing Derek Sherrod.
Yeah, Derek Sherrod, Justin Harrell, Nick Perry, Dayton Jones, Clinton Dix, Demarius Randall. Like, maximum value in his contract. Like, since when did everybody turn into cap experts all of a sudden? Like, I mean, you really want to send the 4-time MVP, one of, if not the most talented quarterbacks of all time, out the door for what is most of the time like a 50-50 shot at an impact player in the first round.
Yeah.
Like, the thing is like with the entitled town thing, like everybody always talks about it or talks about it because they're not a part of the entitled town, like this and that or whatever. Like, how so many fans are used to winning and whatnot. Some of those who wanted Rodgers to be traded so quickly, it kind of surprised me, honestly. Like, yeah, he had a rough game against the Niners. He said some controversial things that may be the fire behind like some of these people's reasons on why they want him gone, which we like him because he plays football. Like,
yeah,
I don't like him because of what he orders at the steakhouse. Like, I don't care. Like,
I think the reason why a lot of people want him gone is either because they don't agree with his political quote unquote stances.
Yeah, they're sick of him.
RB, they say he costs too much money without actually understanding like what he costs, where he costs, and just going along with the narrative of oh, well, this guy does know what he's talking about and he says he costs too much, so I'm going to ride that line. But I don't actually know. I don't actually know. That guy just knows, and I listen to him. I mean, I am 100% in the agreement of, okay, yeah, say we get 3 first-round picks. Okay, well, what if one of them's terrible, one of them is a so-so starter, and one of them's,
super good.
Super good, or like a Rashawn Gary.
That still isn't enough.
Well, that's not it doesn't off balance an MVP, a 4-time MVP player who is still playing at an incredibly high level that we know if he really wanted to could play at a really high level for at least 5 more years. I get that he didn't have a great few years, but like he said earlier in the season, my down years are others' best years.
Yes.
So I know people hated on him for having his down years and he wasn't that great as far as his level. But at the end of the day, that's well above average level.
Yeah. Every team would take his worst year.
A guy that's never had a bad year ever in his starting career. And
that thing is like, he's the current back-to-back MVP. It's not like he won, MVP 5 years ago and he's still kind of playing well and we're all hanging on to that. But like, the dude's playing out of his mind like most of the time. And I'm happy to see the Columbus News because it seems like everybody, including myself, is expecting him back. Like, but the thing is like, it's Aaron Rodgers. Like look him up on YouTube and like tell me if you want your team to get rid of him.
Yeah.
And then explain to me why. Like, I just don't understand it. People don't like him because of what he said.
Yeah.
Or how he didn't play in the Niners game.
Or how long his hair is. And
or what he's wearing. Or
what he wore to the awards.
Or what he's reading. Like, who gives a shit? Yeah. Just watch him play football. That's what I do. I don't know him. So how can I say whether I like him or not? Like, I don't care. I like him for his play on the field. And that's where it ends. So I want him back. So.
It's where it ends because for me, what he does off the field doesn't affect me enough personally
it doesn't affect me at all.
He's not like
even if I agree or completely disagree,
he's not doing drugs. He's not doing domestic abuse. He's not doing stuff that's like actual legal stuff. He just has opinions and you don't have to love him. Which speaking of, I'm not trying to defend him at all, but like honestly, what a terrible, terrible low thing to do for people to try to like shit on him that his rumored separation.
It's so like cringy, like.
I mean, it's literally cringy.
Like,
the only slightly funny one I saw was like, oh, Rodgers or the elusive second ring gets away from Rodgers again. That one was the only one that was slightly funny.
Yeah. But it was funny when I saw it the first time, and then I saw like 100 other people say about the same thing. It's like,
yeah. And then
I saw that already.
Even one of our Packers reporters, which one was it? It wasn't Andy Herman. One of the guys was even sitting there trying, making all these jokes about Rodgers, going off and on about the separated marriage. It's like, dude, do you actually like him? Like,
it's a weird obsession. Like,
I do know there's one specific Packers like guy that's all over the internet all the time that I think he just straight hates Rodgers, and it's honestly I unfollowed him, but I know
what it is. Peter Bukowski.
Yes,
I like Peter. I like Locked On Packers. Everybody has those tweets that are like,
and I don't dislike him as a person, but I just unfollow him because he has had so much negativity this year that it's just like, dude, I'm tired of reading it.
Yeah, no, I get it. I tuned in stuff, and it's good.
He's been terribly negative, and someone like him could read that and say that I'm really soft, like for doing that. But you know me, and that's not that. It's just like I'm sick and tired of fucking reading somebody that
I get it.
Dogs on him,
No, I'm with you.
And it's just like, dude, I'm just trying, like let's have a little bit of positivity. And I don't agree with everything Aaron Nagler does and says in a parallel verse, but at the end of the day, he still recognizes, oh, this dude is as good as it ever gets. So he still has that as much as he hates. And he just says, hey, I'm ready for them to move on if that's what we choose. But if not, I'm here for him. And that's the attitude. That's the attitude that I want a lot of people to have is that, hey, if it moves on, it moves on. At least if anything, we've been prepped for it now, right?
Right. We can.
Last year, I wasn't ready for it at all.
No, because it came out of nowhere, and Jordan Love's in his second year. We never seen him play.
And if it happened this year, it'd be like,
that would suck.
It was coming for a year, but
no, I'm with you though. Like this last year, we saw, and every year there's reporters or Packers personalities that their true colors show in certain situations, whether it's good or bad. And this last year, with everything that's going on with Rodgers, with everything, I don't really recall like one reporter or anybody really supporting him. So
it's because a lot of them rode the wave of negativity of, the other 30 guys in the press conference are they don't like him too. But guess what? None of those pussies said it to his face in a press conference.
That's true. They
just asked questions.
They just asked questions, and then like it was their own fault when they didn't follow up on the immunization thing. And once that all happened, like they all just kind of shit on him and they're like, he's spreading false whatever. It's like I don't even care to get into it because everybody hated on him. I don't care if I agreed with him 100% or if I disagree with him 100%. I don't give a shit about what he has to say about non-football stuff. Like, he has his own opinion and he's sticking to it. Like, whatever. I only care about his play on the field. Like, I don't know him personally. None of the things that he says about
at the end of the day
affects me.
At the end of the day, all the shit that he did off the field that was a distraction never impacted in a negative way how Green Bay played.
Yeah.
Again, everybody thought it did after
after
week one, and everybody acted like they. But it's like,
and he's like, "Yeah, watch this," and then went off.
All his teammates love him. All his teammates love him, and isn't it funny too that like, there was a report that came out like a few weeks ago. oh, a lot of players in Green Bay say that they think he's done in Green Bay. But then like Aaron Jones comes on during like Super Bowl week and goes, "Oh no, like I really think in my heart of hearts he's gonna be back and stuff."
Yeah.
It's just like stop making up these bullshit reports and just wasting our time.
Bad.
And then me looking at my phone and my friends group chat of 13 people have got in, they're posting shit articles like the Patrick Mahomes one telling his wife and his fiance and his brother, you can't come to the games. People believe this shit all the time, and it's become embarrassing because trolling
is embarrassing because that's what it is.
Actually embarrassing that people believe any of this garbage anymore about.
And it's embarrassing. Like I always see under all the posts of like the reporters or Packers personalities, like ask real questions or like what are you doing or like all this stuff, and it's like, man, like what happened? Has it always been this bad? Like as far as our Packers beat goes, like there's some good ones in there. Don't get me wrong. And even the ones that don't ask great questions, sometimes they do ask great questions. But it's like more often than not, they're posting something to get responses or not clicks. Like they're for engagement or whatever. Yeah. I mean that's how the social media world works. I'm a part of it. The social media world.
And I realize when you have the same players for a long time, and I don't have these guys' as jobs, so it's easy for me to sit back. I'm not saying that they have an easy job by any means, but can we please stop asking Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur what it's like to have a player like Devonte Adams, like questions like that? Like, can we get
him to say he's the best?
Like, can we do as your guys' job, do a little bit of more research and ask like questions about, hey, what type of routes do you guys like in certain situations? Like, let's hear some good informative questions
and how can Devontae execute
those guys will elaborate on. Stop asking in press.
What's it like to have Devontae? Oh, he's a great locker room guy. He's a great guy in the field.
Yeah,
he's one of the best in his position. Next,
can you tell us the impact that Devonte Adams has on the game? Like, I don't know.
Watch the TV copy.
TV on. My God.
Watch the TV copy. Like, come on.
It's just like I don't know. That
there are good people that are asking great questions. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, there are some great questions. I love when they ask questions that get them to elaborate. But when you ask such steady, boring questions like that, and like I said, when you have players like that, like Rodgers for 17 years, you've asked him almost everything, right? So I do understand that
to a point.
But like, come on, stop asking the questions that an 8-year-old is starting to learn in this world. Like, this dude Devonte Adams is really good. Like, stop asking the questions that the 8-year-old.
I've always been the fact that like, hey, like if you're a reporter and you can't take the backlash of your questions that are asking, then don't ask stupid questions or like. And then if you're not a reporter and then you don't like their questions, then become a reporter and do it yourself or whatever. But at the same time, it's like you can also call these guys out when they're really just not even doing that good of a job. And if they can't take the backlash, then look inward and fix it. Like, you're either not doing a good job or you're posting stupid shit like just to get engagement, which that's a real thing. Everybody acts like clicks don't generate revenue or whatever. And it's like, I mean, in a way it does. Yeah. I mean, if it bleeds, it leads. So if you're going to post something about you asked Aaron Rodgers about the Halloween party and it gets 50 replies of people getting pissed, you're getting more engagement and probably more followers than you would if you're posting about anything else that's, an actual good question that people are like, oh, that's a good one. I'm not going to reply to it, but bravo. Like, I don't know. It gets all John, and I'm not going to be a reporter because I don't want to be. But at the same time, when you're watching press conferences and the very few times that players and or coaches are speaking, you'd appreciate, some professionalism or like some actual deep thought questions. Like the ones on Pat McAfee show, those are deep thought, those are more real questions. And I understand that's a different platform and everything, but it's like, those are actual questions that you get answers to compared to, the Halloween party, like blah, blah, like asking about it. And it's like December. It's like, bro, that happened over a month ago. Like, like get out of here. All right, John, let's move on. Let's talk about some free agents. Take it away.
But before I slightly move on,
okay,
I'll take this and all the drama and having as good of a team as we have and the constant talking points over what we could be in 3 years and Rodgers is gone and if we're potential trash. So, hey, remember the good old times when you're in the good old times. Because it won't be – because in 3 years, we're going to be like, damn, do you remember that?
Yeah.
Everything was
Halloween party, all that stuff. No, I get it. All right.
Yeah.
We got some free agents. Throw them out there. I'll let you know if they stay or go.
Okay. Devonte Adams. And I want you to tell me how he stays when it's Devonte Adams.
Stays. He gets franchise tagged and then shortly or sometime after gets an extension.
From us, right?
Right.
Okay. Corey Bojorquez.
I think he goes, unfortunately. I know he led the league in punting average with the Bills in 2020. Had a decent season last year, and I feel like a team with a lot of money might be interested. So we might not be able to compete with that. So I bet he goes.
Yeah. I mean, I hope we can keep him.
I hope we can keep him
but
too.
You never know. With a new special teams coach in the house, that there might be a little bit of a sway in what they do. Oren Burks, another special teams dude these days.
Goes. I think it's time to move on. Underperformed really since he got drafted.
Okay.
He's had the most special team snaps, but I'm not even sure that's even a reason to keep him with
yeah. I mean, he just never turned into that starting linebacker role.
Right. When he was on the field, it's like
nowadays you want that athletic linebacker, and he fit that mold. But
yeah.
All right, so in the linebacker room, this one is a very interesting one because I feel like there's not enough. I don't want to say there's not enough talk, but there's not enough details about how this would go down. Devondre Campbell, what's he worth? What's he going to get paid?
Yeah, I'm hoping he stays, and that's what I would bet on. And I'm hoping apparently the whole Rodgers having more say in the roster, or at least opinions, that Devondre is one of the guys that he's hoping to be a top priority. We all saw the value he brought, a good linebacker.
We've been waiting for 10 years for
We've been waiting for it. And now, he's going to cost more than $2 million a year. And yeah, he was named all pro, but I'm not going to jolt him into the top.
Yeah, Bobby Wagner
in the game.
Bobby Wagner, Fred Warner.
Yeah.
You got to do more than 1 year.
Based on 1 year. So I hope he stays, and I hope, it gets
a little bit of a side note. I'm sure you saw this because you're on Twitter, the Bobby Brooks and NFL Network or whatever, top 10 free agent signings of the offseason, and they didn't even have him in the top 10. How do guys like that, not even either I don't want to say lose their job because that's ridiculous to say that, but how do you not my true guess is did they look at this and then look at their Twitter mentions and go, oh shit, I'm an idiot.
Yeah,
I'm an idiot. What was I even thinking? He was because you could never make the argument that he wasn't top 10.
No, I agree.
He literally made him ask.
Could it be top 3, arguably? Had Cordell Patterson at number 2 or 3. It's the Falcons missed the playoffs and were ass.
Yeah, it's because fantasy football, right?
I get it. No, yeah.
And he was good. So Rasul Douglas. Now, do we get some sort? Are him and Devondre in the same camp of they had really good seasons, but hey, it worked here, and I maybe want to see if it works one more time to see if I can get that big contract somewhere else. Because you could go have a really good year in Green Bay and then go somewhere else and just fall off the cliff. So maybe stacking back-to-back years in the same system type thing.
Yeah. I know he wants to stay. He made it known he wants to stay. I bet he goes. I think from a Packers perspective, you got Jair back. Stokes is obviously proven to be that guy. And the whole Kevin King situation where it would make sense money-wise to just keep him, I think Rasul goes, signs a nice contract somewhere else. Unfortunately, great year for us. I'll never forget his game-changing plays, obviously. But unless he, is down to play in the slot, because obviously Stokes and Jair are going to play outside, unless Jair goes in the slot. I don't know. I just don't see his agent's going to be looking for a big contract, and I don't think we're going to give it to him. So
it's rare that you have three top, or not top cornerbacks, but you get what I'm saying. You have
three corners that you could arguably start.
Three corners that can all start on the outside based on the way that they've played. But at the end of the day, you've got one of the best corners, but like, can Jair play? But maybe Jair just, maybe you keep all three, and then Jair just locks up that number one.
That'd be fine
all the time, and then, or goes into the slot to take down, to cover Tyreek Hill, because we still got our outside guys. I mean, if Rasul Douglas was back next year, I'd be sitting there going, "This is awesome."
Yeah, because Z's gone. Our pass rush probably won't be as dominant. So having those guys in the back end, I'm all for
it. So the next two, I'm actually gonna skip over one, but then I'm gonna put the two in together because I've seen some talk.
Okay.
Allen Lazard, or MVS. Now, before you tell me which one you think goes, or which one stays, or if they both stay, both go, tell me which one you would rather have.
Allen Lazard.
Okay. I just wasn't sure because MVS he had
you can't teach speed.
He had a good start to the season, got hurt, came back, had really good 4 games,
got hurt again.
And and that he's never, I don't want to say he's been like hurt throughout his career, but like he's just he's underperformed a tiny bit for what we hoped he would have.
Yeah.
Because he had a huge opportunity for a role, and he just underperformed until this last year. Last year, he showed promise. So, and like you said, you can't teach speed, and nowadays you need those guys with that speed.
Top off.
But Allen Lazard brings in so much. He's like.
I bet I'm hoping he stays best. At 8 touchdowns this year, best blocking receiver in the NFL.
Yeah,
he's just that guy. Like him and Rodgers seem to have that.
Exactly. He's kind of like a typical Packers guy that
third down catcher, like.
Yeah, that you like. So, and then with Cobb probably not coming back.
Yeah, I don't know about him, honestly. Unless he comes back, he's not coming back on his current deal.
Yeah, right. So you pick Lazard, but between Lazard and MVS, go stay. What do you think actually happens?
Lazard stays, MVS goes. Like you said, love watching MVS play. His speed is something you can't teach, like you said. But I think there's a team out there that will pay him a good deal. And on the flip side, with his injuries, I don't think the Packers will pay him what he deserves. So I bet he goes out and gets a pretty nice contract, but just not with us, unfortunately.
Okay, so the other question, kind of like the linebacker position of the last few years, Robert Tonyan. We haven't really had great. We've had we've tried at the tight end position with Graham, Mercedes there, Sternberger. You get the different guys of that world that we've hit and missed with Martellus Bennett. Green Bay's made a little bit of effort, but they've overpaid, and those tight ends have under-delivered. Well, now Tonyan had that 10 touchdown season last 2 years ago, or 11, and then this year
gets hurt, which is terrible. I think
could that have also been a big difference? Like, could that have been enough of a difference to beat the 49ers? You know what I mean? Like that.
Him or MVS, we could have.
I don't know. So it's kind of one of those things. It's like, do you let him go, and then do you let Mercedes Lewis go, and then all of a sudden, now your tight end room just got way smaller. Right. When it became a
solid group.
It came a solid group, and now, like, do you restart? So I don't know.
I think this is a tough one. I don't know if I have an answer for. Like, obviously, towards ACL last year, you're not sure when he's going to be back. Packers have 4 tight ends in the roster at the moment. In the year, obviously, like you were saying before, last year had 11 touchdowns. I hope he stays. If Mercedes doesn't return, I'm sure he'll be back. But we'll see. NFL doesn't have like many tight ends, so someone with money could come call for him. So we'll see. The ACL tear could have maybe scared some people away. He didn't have a monster year because he was hurt, but I think he'll recover just fine and be back to where he was, if not better. And then I hope he's back because I like watching him play.
So we didn't really addressed this earlier, or I didn't ask you when you did coaching changes. Do you think we are? And I saw a poll the other day, and I'll tell you what I voted once you tell me. But there was. Do you think we're better off, the same, or worse in the coaching staff on paper than what we were a month ago?
I think it's tough to say we're better off, because you had obviously Hackett as an OC, who's now a head coach, Getsy in the room, and now he's an offensive coordinator. Stanovich is the O-line coach, and now he's our offensive coordinator. And then obviously Mike Smith being gone, he's a great coach. And I mean, all those guys have already taken promotions, and Mike Smith will probably take a pay boost or whatever. I can't say we're better off, but if Rodgers comes back and Tom Clements is in there, I mean, Tom Clements is like people were saying, like, even if Rodgers doesn't come back, that's a great hire. He's a great quarterbacks coach. Mm-hmm. Adam Stanovich, one of the best O-line coaches in the game, is now the offensive coordinator. And instead of having like Hackett, who's an offensive coordinator, and LaFleur, who's an offensive coordinator, both kind of joined in calling stuff. Well, now you have Stanovich, who's going to be focused on the O-line, telling LaFleur, hey, what we can do with the O-line and everything, instead of having those two heads go together with plays and stuff, LaFleur can do his thing, calling plays, and Steno can do the O-line stuff and say, hey, this is going to work great with these plays. The O-line can do this and that. I can't say we're better off right now, but I hope that we will be.
Okay. So are you saying below? Worse off? Because I said above, same, or below.
I'll say below for now.
Okay.
There just is nothing to prove to me that they're better.
Yeah, I mean that's true, which is why I did ask the question on paper.
Oh shoot!
Because,
no, I still say below.
Because the reason why is got
Hackett's the head coach. I mean,
I know.
And then Getsy's an offensive coordinator who'll be calling the plays.
We could also see Hackett turn into in 3 years. Oh, yeah. He was just good in Green Bay, a product of a great offense. That could happen, but you could also see him be successful. You know how that goes.
What'd you pick?
There's guys that can change. I still say that I don't think it got worse, and the reason why is because I think we got on paper much better special teams coach and the leader within the building that's got that experience. As far as that, Clemens has experience, has high level experience too. So I think that there's guys that they brought that have high level experience that, some guys got promoted that haven't been there, but on paper, I think I'm going to go with even.
Okay, that's fair.
Because I don't think
in a few weeks into the season, it could very well be better. You just never know.
I mean, I just at the end of the day think that the special teams thing was very important. I mean, when you're that bad,
any sort of improvement.
When you're that bad, if we improve to average
20 to 25 in the league,
that can be
the Super Bowl.
That could be pretty important. So, but we'll see from there.
I completely agree. We'll like you said, we'll see from there. And throughout the offseason, end of the season, we'll know, especially with how everybody else is doing compared to how we're doing, how we measure up. All right, John. Any last words here before we close it down?
When's the gosh, there was a date for when they you have to, maybe it's not when you have to franchise tag. There was something there was a date that they felt like Green Bay had to make the move on Devonte for the franchise tag or something.
A couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah, and they thought that was going to be the move for Rodgers as well. Like they would know by then.
We should know within the next couple of weeks.
Final words. There can be a lot. There could be a lot that changes in this next 2 weeks, 2 months. There could be a lot that changes. Devondre Campbell.
With that comes a lot to talk about.
Which wide receivers? Do we lose the corners? Do we lose the D-line? Do we lose this? Do we lose that? Tight ends. There's Rodgers. Is there trades? You could be. I for one think that we're going to see a lot of the same going in next year because I think Rodgers and Adams will be back, and then they'll keep a few of these key pieces. But this could also be flipped 180, and all of a sudden Rodgers could be traded. Devonte Adams, I don't know, and before you know it, we could be sitting here with a completely different
roster outlook, expectations for the next year or 5 years.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. Like you said, next couple of weeks we'll know a lot, which means we'll be back on talking about everything that's going on. We appreciate everybody tuning in, commenting. It's the off season. Sometimes there's not much to talk about, but I feel like with the Packers there always is, especially with all the drama and all the situations and scenarios that are going to be playing out. So we'll be back on, whether it's in a week and a half, probably no later than that, just to talk about anything Packers related. So
you never know.
You never know. If Rodgers comes back on Tuesday on Pat McAfee, we'll be back on.
Yeah, on 24 hours, something can change, and
we'll be back.
Be from there.
So be sure to follow GBP Daily on the social channels, GBP Daily on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Have a great rest of your weekend, everybody. And for John and myself, we will catch you guys later. Thank you.